Hi you guys, it's Amy Gretchen. Welcome back to another week in the life process video. This album is from 2017 and this process video is all going to be about the photos. So when tackling a project like this, I decided that it's best to do things in stages. So the first thing that I did was culling and editing my photos, and then I did some of my journaling and worked on some of the stories that I wanted to tell. And then I went through the process of choosing the photos that I wanted to print. And now that my photos are printed, now is the fun part of putting this album all together. So I definitely start with getting all the photos in the pockets first, and then I will move on to the embellishments. So I will have a process video coming up that will show how I embellish this album and then really how I get my stories told. So I do have a process video that I have on my YouTube channel that you can check out if you have not seen it, that really shows some of my ideas for telling stories. I have a gratitude card. You'll definitely see that in this video, and then some tags that I made. If you're interested in that, just look in the description below for a link. But like I said, this video is going to be all about the photo. So you're really going to see me work through organizing the photos and then getting them into the pockets. Now, I'm not going to lie, this is a longer video. It's about a half hour. And I debated whether or not I should actually even share this process, but I thought that some of you would find it interesting how I organized my photos and decided how to put them in the pockets. And it really is a significant part of the process to, once you have your photos printed, to then decide where they're going to go, because that is really the foundation for your album. So because I end up doing some of the same things over and over again, I'm definitely not going to walk you through everything. So there will be portions of this video that you will be listening to music, but hopefully you will just enjoy being able to watch me work, and then also enjoy seeing some of the photos that I took this week and that I chose to use for the album. All right, so let's get started on some of the actual process of this video. So what you've been watching me do is I'm taking those 6x8 photos and I've been adhering the days of the week wood veneer on top of it. I absolutely love this detail that came in Ali Edwards' kit, and I love the way that it looks on top of the photo. I just think it's clean and classic. So I'm really happy about my choice to do that and to start each day that way. So you'll see that I'm just now putting them into the pockets, this 6x8 pockets, and getting them situated into the album. I definitely find it easier to do everything in stages. So that's why I'm putting them in the album instead of just going ahead and setting them aside. The next thing that I'm going to do is also a little bit of organization. So these other days of the week, I guess they're little vellum pieces. I don't know, they're kind of made out of plastic and they're a little bit see-through. I want to put them on the back of the photo because I'm going to add them to some journaling that I'm going to do. And you'll see that in a video in my next process video coming up. I want to add a little bit more journaling to this album. And so you'll see that I'm just putting those behind the photos. That way I remember that I want to use them, and also just getting them out of the way so they don't end up getting lost in the shuffle. Okay, so now let's move on to the bulk of my photos. I actually already have my photos organized by the day. And the reason why you didn't end up seeing me do this, other than it is, a process in and of itself, is because I do it upside down, so you wouldn't have been able to see the photos anyway. One of the tricks I use when I am printing a ton of photos like this is to make sure that the title of my photo it's very descriptive. So on the back of each of these photos that I'm cutting up now, it said probably week in the life, and then it said Monday. And that way I knew they were all for Monday. I definitely do this in Project Life when I'm working in bulk. Like in my 2014 album, I'm now, trying to print out a lot of different photos. And so on the back of the photo, I will write which week in Project Life it is. And that way, when I get a whole bunch of photos back from the printer, I can just turn it upside down, and then I can just organize it that way. So that's exactly how I did it here. It works awesome. So I would definitely encourage you to do that. It would just, because these photos, I don't know which days I took these photos offhand and I would have had to look on my computer. It actually ends up saving me a lot of time to just quickly be able to go through those photos. So speaking about having these photos printed, I actually had them printed at Persnickety Prints, and I definitely do that when I'm working in bulk. Now, I think the quality is great, although I wish I had printed them on glossy. I printed them on matte this time, and I feel like glossy, they may have been a little bit more crisp. So I wish I had done that, but the one thing that really threw me off and I was a little bit disappointed with and wish then I had printed these on my own is those 4x6 photos are not a true 4x6. So when I started cutting up my photos, in my mind, I thought that they were a 4x6. And so I cut them up the way that I cut up my Epson 4x6 photos, which are a true 4x6. And then it ended up not cutting out evenly or correctly. And I don't really notice 100% right now, but I definitely do as I'm slipping into the pockets, realizing that, wait a minute, these photos are not a true 4x6. So I was disappointed by that. And I guess the moral to the story is when you have photos printed, definitely check out the size. I don't think that this is necessarily just Persnickety Prints. I'm sure if you printed it at Costco or Walgreens or Walmart or any lab that you're going to, that maybe that 4x6 photo either is not a true 4x6 or else maybe it's just slightly smaller in one way or another. So I would definitely say to measure that card or measure the photo before you start cutting it up so that you have an idea of the size. So anyways, that's just a precaution, something I wish I had done. Hindsight, I think that I probably would have wanted to print these myself just because I wanted them to be a true 4x6 because I feel like they fit into the pocket a little bit better instead of moving around so much. But it wasn't something that I really wanted to take the time to print again, but that's definitely something that I'm going to be thinking about in the future because I definitely want my photos to look the absolute best they can because, this album is something I'm only going to make once. I'm not going to remake it again. So if it, ends up costing a little bit extra, it might just be worth it in the end. All right, you guys, so I'm at that place that I'm going to start throwing my pocket or my photos into the page protectors. So before I send you off to the music so you can just watch me work, I wanted you to be aware of a couple of things. Number one, I'm using primarily 3 page protectors. One of them is the 4-up 3x4 page protectors. Another one is the 2-up 4x6. And then I'm actually using that again to create my own 4x4 pockets. You saw me do that in my prior project or prior process video for Week in the Life. And I think you'll watch me do it in this video as well to make those page protectors. But those are the 3 page protectors that I'm going to be using for this album. Another thing to maybe take note of is some of the photos you can see I have borders and some of the photos I do not. So I was trying to be really conscious when I was having my photos printed because I wanted to have a couple of the photos with borders onto a page protector and then maybe 1 or 2 without. So you'll see me kind of work through that. I messed up a couple of times. I think I end up reprinting just a couple of photos because I really liked the look of that. But that was something that I tried to keep in mind when I was printing my photos. So anyways, I will just let you watch me work through this process and then I'll jump on if I have some more to say. Okay, so for the most part, I've got my photos in where I want them. Like I mentioned, Friday definitely needs some work, and there's a couple other photos that are straggling, but I wanted to move on and give myself a break so that I could go back and look through the photos and see if that would help me make my decisions. So I grabbed over the 3x4 journaling cards that came with the kit, and I'm pulling out some of the pattern paper ones because I intentionally left some spots, as you can see, mingled in with the photos. And so I wanted to go through and add some of those bits there. I'm thinking about adding the chipboard, but before I do that, I want to, figure out maybe what I might do for that first page protector. I'm thinking of putting in a chipboard there too. So I wanted to make sure that I knew what I wanted to do first before I started adding them other places. So it looks like I grabbed over that real life and decided to, or I'm thinking about putting that there. Like always, I really like to give myself some time, especially with embellishments I know that I can't reprint. So I just want to make sure that that's exactly where I want it to go. So you see that I added an Avery tab there. And then right now, I think I'm going to go through, actually, no, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to make more of these page protector pockets. So you saw this, I think, in the first process video that I put out that talked a lot about some of the journaling and I think it was kind of a prep video where it showed my journaling and then some of the prep that I did. So I just went ahead and made another one of these pockets. So what I did is I grabbed, it's a 2-up page protector. So it has 2 4x6 pockets, and it made it really easy to be able to just fuse, 4 inches and fuse all the way up. And that way I didn't have to, worry about adding or cutting in a hole for the photos because it was already there. So it's awesome when you can take a page protector that's halfway there and make it all the way there. And then I left the photos in there as well to help me get the right size. And then I just went ahead and used the fuse tool. So a couple tips using that fuse tool is you just want to make sure it's good and hot. I think I had it sitting there for maybe 20 minutes. So it was definitely good and hot. I like to use a ruler that is low. So that ruler that I'm using actually has feet on the bottom. I turned it upside down so that it would be as close to the glass as possible. I definitely like using glass on the bottom as well because I know it's not going to melt. I had this piece of glass from forever ago. I used to cut on it with my X-Acto. And then I just want to make sure, the reason why I like the ruler to be really as thin as possible is because I like to be able to put the roller that's on the fuse tool right up against the ruler and then roll it on. The other tip that I would suggest doing is to make sure that you start off of the page protector, because if you start on the page protector and sit there for any amount of time, you could melt it. So I would just suggest that you start off and then roll on and just have a steady pull, and it should work out perfect. I didn't have any problems at all when I was doing it. Of course, I have had some practice as well. So if you want to practice, grab over like a sheet that maybe you've ripped or cut up before and practice on that. I think this is maybe the next day, but I went ahead and I printed some more photos. So I think there was either a couple photos either left out or I didn't think it printed very well. I think one of them was left out. And then a couple photos, I wanted them to be a full page photo instead of a photo with a border, a white border on it. So I just went ahead and printed a few more of those as well. And so you can see me slip them into the pockets. I think that was Thursday that I'm working on there. You're also going to go ahead and see me working on Friday as well. So I had a hard time when I was originally putting my photos in place of where to put everything. I felt like I was definitely missing some photos. So I think I might still need to go back and look at my computer because I don't believe that I've done that. But I'm just trying to organize and figure out where I put all the photos and where I want them to go. So I'm probably going to skip through this because I think even when I'm finished with the work that I do right now, I'm not 100% finished, but I will definitely finish it in the next video for you. All right, so as I'm finishing up Friday, I do grab over some more embellishments and just trying to decide, you know, as I'm working on that pocket, what I might want to put in that blank pocket. So I grab over that weekend chipboard, which I think is really great because it's a Friday, it's the start of our weekend. And of course, I love that black and white. I think it works really well with all of the other, you know, the gratitude journaling and then those tags that I made. And then I'm going to start the process of, I think, adding the tags in. So I figured out off camera what tags I wanted to go on which day. And so I'm just going to slip them in. I'm actually trying to figure out where I want to put that photo. Of course, I do eventually figure that one out. I'm not sure if it's in this video or not. But I do end up, you know, I'm trying to right now decide if I want to cut it up into a 3x4 or leave it as a square. And I do decide to leave it as a square and just to swap it with that photo of me in the car. And I, you know, I really like that I did that more. And then I'm thinking, do I really want this photo of me in the car? And I decide it's totally fine if I don't use it. At this point, I'm deciding what I want to do with these photos as well. I was thinking of adding maybe some journaling on the back there instead of that photo with the flowers, but I decided that that photo of me, I'll probably just do a spread in my Project Life album that's all about me. So I'll worry about that then. I actually reprinted that flower photo as well because I wanted it to not have borders. And then I think I'm going to say, what do I go to next? It's kind of funny. When you're watching this video, you can see how my mind is jumping from one thing to the next. And as I go through my album and see something, I'm like, oh yeah, I want to do this, like the Avery tab. And then I just get a little bit sidetracked. But I promise in the end, I do get it all finished. So one of the things that I wanted to point out with the Avery tab is I'm only sticking it onto the back side. That way, if I want to adjust any of the photos or any of the cards that are in the pockets, because it'll go over the pockets, I'm able to do so without having any problem at all. If you do end up doing something like that, you could always just use an X-Acto to make a slip, but I find it easier to just wait till the end to adhere it all the way on. So now you can see that I'm just going to finish up putting all the tags on there. So I wanted to make sure that the tags, you can see that I have the tag on top of the 4x4 photos here. And I think I was trying to think about if that's what I wanted to do. I actually do end up switching that around in the end, making sure that the tags in the 4x4 page protectors are not together. So now I'm just going to adhere those 4x6 photos back to back. And then I'm going to use my Crop-A-Dile and just punch the holes in there. It actually fits just perfectly in between those, the holes just fits perfectly in the binder there. All right, you guys, so I'm basically done with the photo portion of this album. That was, gosh, it took about a half hour sped up. I think maybe it was an hour and a half in total. So it definitely took some time, but I think the editing and looking through the photos actually took more, and the printing took some time as well. So this is definitely a step-by-step process. So I'm right now looking at what I might want to do in the beginning. I'm pretty sure that I don't want to use that 6x8 photo, but I'm just playing around with seeing what I want to do. If you guys are interested in how I finish this up, definitely look for my next process video, which will be coming out in a day or two. And then you can see how I finish up this album. And of course, I will actually do a walkthrough so you can see the album completely done. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being here, and we will catch you in the next video. Bye.